Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first annual CineQuest video top 10 of 2021. Now, last year, 2020, we didn't watch too many movies, but this year, out of 74 movies, I picked 10 to be the best of the year. Mind you, this is only my opinion, obviously. You may have your own opinions about some of these movies, as you should. If you agree or disagree with me about any of these movies, please leave a comment below. Let's get into the list. Number 10, we have Malignant. This may come as a surprise, but I loved Malignant a lot. We actually did a review about it, but it hasn't seen the light of day yet. It's still kind of in the works. Hopefully we'll release it at some point if you all want to check that out. As far as the James Wan movie, it seems very different than his normal movies. And I just thought this movie was fun. It was gory. Took you in different twists and turns that you didn't expect. I expected it to be a really boring movie from the get-go, but I was quite surprised, and happily so. So number 10 is Malignant. Number 9, Last Night in Soho. This is an Edgar Wright movie. I haven't seen too many of his other movies other than the ones that he did with Simon Pegg. He also did Scott Pilgrim. Right off the bat, this movie had a great soundtrack. I love the soundtrack of this movie. It really hooked me in from this minute the movie started. It was shot beautifully. This follows a girl who goes to London to become a fashion designer. It doesn't seem to work out with some of her classmates, so she moves into this old house, or this room where this woman rents it out to her. And as she dreams, she sees visions of a girl in the 1960s. Things just take a turn. I wasn't too fond of the ending necessarily. I didn't think it was that strong of an ending, but nonetheless, the movie itself as a whole is very good, shot very well. Soundtrack is great. Everyone does a great job acting, and that was my number 9. Number 8. Number 8 is The Suicide Squad. I had so much fun watching this movie, and if you know anything about James Gunn, most of his movies are fun. You got Guardians of the Galaxy, Romeo and Juliet, Slither. All these movies are fucking great, and I love every second of this movie. It was just fun, violent, just everything you would want a James Gunn movie to be. And a lot of those surprises in the beginning, which I wasn't expecting because I'm not too familiar with these characters to begin with. So everything was pretty much brand new. I like his interpretation of some of these characters in a live action setting. Sylvester Stallone's great as the shark, and John Cena's hilarious. Idris Elba's great. Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie, also very good. Everyone just does a great job, and I just think it was a fun movie. And if you're into violent, funny, just over-the-top movies, check this movie out. Now, continuing with the over-the-top theme, my number 7 film is Psycho Goreman. This actually came out last year, but I wasn't able to see it until it came out on Shudder. And this movie is just a fun ride from beginning to end. So violent, almost like a violent Power Rangers type of film. Evil character comes in, this little girl controls him, and the fun just ensues. Mind you, no character, no age limit, no character, no age is off limit. This evil PG Psycho Goreman kills anyone in his path and threatens everyone, no matter what your age, who you are, even makes some people go mad in the most grotesque ways. And it's just so much fun. The soundtrack is also very good. Plays into this. It's very cheesy. Has a very 90s, 80s type of feel to it. And if you're into that kind of thing, check that out too. Again, very, very gory. Very gory. The title is Psycho Goreman. Number 6. Number 6 is The Green Knight. This is an A24 movie. This movie is shot beautifully and just a great story. Everyone's acting is so superb in this movie. It takes that classic Sir Gawain and the Green Knight story and just elevates it to like a visually spectacular sight to be seen. It's just really awesome. We did do a review on it. You can check that out somewhere, probably up here. Just a visually stunning movie. And if that's something you appreciate, as well as great acting, check out The Green Knight. You won't be disappointed. Number 5. My number 5, rounding out the middle of this list, is Candyman. Directed by Nia DaCosta. Does a great job bringing in the lore from the original. It retcons the other sequels, which is totally fine by me. They weren't that good, or number 3 was actually terrible. But it does give the story a little twist as a growing story within folklore. You know, things change, characters get added, everyone puts their own little perspective on certain things, and this is kind of what this story does. And I think it does justice to the original with Tony Todd, and so does actor. I won't even say his name because don't want to mess it up. But he does a great job. A bit of spoilers. We have a few characters from the original coming back to reprise their roles in some form or fashion, and I think that was also great. A nice little chef's kiss to this film, and I was very satisfied with this movie. And I can't wait to see what the director does next. I hadn't seen anything previously, at least I don't think. But I think she did a really great job with Candyman. Number four. Number four is Ghostbusters Afterlife. Surprise, surprise. I'm a huge fan of Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2. I didn't have too much of an issue with the 2016 version. I thought it was okay for what it was. My only issue with that movie was that it totally retconned the whole original series. I feel like if they had continued on with the story from the originals, probably people would have enjoyed it more. But I mean, that's just my opinion on that. But this movie does a really good job at bringing in these new characters, paying homage to the original cast as well, along with Harold Ramis, who passed. Everything was just so much fun. Paul Rudd is great. I mean, who doesn't love Paul Rudd? It was a lot of fan service, but I mean, at this point, this is pretty much what people wanted. People needed that whole fan service to kind of move on to whatever else that could possibly happen with a new series, because the kids in this were really great. And I feel that they could take Ghostbusters in a whole new direction. And we kind of the fans needed a bit of closure, at least this is the way I see it. The fans needed a bit of closure. That way we can actually move on. I feel that this was a nice little closing of that generation of Ghostbusters. Now hopefully, we'll see what happens. They move on to another generation and they can enjoy Ghostbusters in whatever way or which direction the story goes. And I'd be excited to see it. Number 3, Spider-Man No Way Home. This was just a fun time at the movies, giving you everything you could ever want from all Spider-Mans of the past. Everyone kind of has their favorite. Everyone kind of grew up with one of Spider-Man or another, either Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield, and now Tom Holland, who I think does a great job as Spider-Man. I'm not too familiar with the comic book character of Spider-Man, so each character I think does a good job in their own way. So I really have no complaints about the characters or the actors who play them. It was just fun to see all those characters come together and defeat a common enemy. And Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, fantastic again, as he always is in pretty much every movie that he does. I was a fan of the Green Goblin when it first came out with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and the Willem Dafoe does not lose a beat in any way, shape, or form doing this Green Goblin, and I thought it was great. Sure, you may get a little emotional. I mean, some people do. I get emotional during movies. Yeah, I got my little emotional moments. I mean, so what? No big deal. Best movie of the year? Not yet, because it is number 3. Number 2, Pig. And again, we do have a review of the movie Pig. You can check that out right over there. This movie stars Nicolas Cage. And I mean, if you know Nicolas Cage up until this point, he has done pretty wacky movies. Not to say that they aren't good, but he's gone off the deep end on some of his acting. And previously this year, 2021, Willy's Wonderland came out. That was just a fucking crazy movie. Fun. I don't think Nicolas Cage said one word throughout that whole movie. He's just drinking his soda, playing pinball, and killing some puppets. Great. I love it. Awesome. Prior to this, he did Mandy, Mom and Dad, The Color Out of Shape, which all those were fun movies in their own way. But Nicolas Cage is being Nicolas Cage, doing his Rage Cage moments, you know. But this one, you sometimes forget Nicolas Cage. He's a really good fucking actor. And this took me and our friend Roland, another contributor to CineQuest, by surprise. We went in expecting a movie that was Liam Neeson's Taken, but with a pig. So we're expecting all kinds of craziness, over-the-top rage from Nicolas Cage. Not the case. This movie was fantastic. Nicolas Cage surprised me again, forgetting that he is an actor and he is a really good actor when he puts his mind to it and he has a script to work with. This movie was just great. You really feel the man's love for his pig. I did get emotional when they were talking about the pig. This movie is just so good. If you want to see if you haven't seen this movie, check it out, please. It is a really well-acted movie from a veteran actor who, if you're not ready for it, will surprise you. That he still has his chops and he can bring them out if he wants to, but I guarantee he's going to continue doing his Rage Cage thing and maybe surprise us along the way. Hopefully, I hope to see more of Nick Cage acting. I hope so. Number 1, Get Back, the Beatles documentary. This is a 7 to 8 hour long series. I consider one movie. I saw the original Let It Be back in the day. In fact, I still have the VHS. It's not official, by the way. It's not an official. It's not official VHS. It's a bootleg version that I bought off of eBay. Yeah, you can tell that cover has been like printed and stuff like that. And just to let you know, it is in there. Old VHS in there. Just so you know, I'm not messing around. This original version tells a whole different story about the Beatles recording "Let It Be." Get Back pretty much blows all the holes out of this story, and tells a different narrative of the Beatles having a good time. Well, initially having a really shitty time, it seems, recording. They have like 3 weeks to write, record, and perform this album. Initially, they're not like the first 2 episodes. They're like close to 2 hours long, so it's pretty crazy. They look like they're having a terrible time. George quits the band. John is kind of like indifferent to the whole thing. Ringo just sits there waiting, pretty much. And we have Paul kind of being the taskmaster and kind of like trying to move things along. When they move out of that initial studio where they film movies, and they move into an actual recording studio, the mood changes. And it shows them having a great time. They bring in Billy Preston to play piano. That livens up the mood. And they seem to just be like 4 people, along with Billy Preston also, like later on. Just having a great time doing what they do best, is they write songs. And that's it. I mean, they write and record songs. And that's what the Beatles do. And they didn't do it very long, but they have a catalog that's lasted. It's pretty timeless. And of course, that rooftop performance, classic, also in the original, but cut down very short. And I like that this shows a little bit more of what's going on the street level, along with what's going on in different parts of the building while they're actually recording and performing on the roof. I thought Peter Jackson did a great job restoring all of it. It looks great. Like, as if it's old footage, the colors in this they look fantastic in the background, and even just the bright lights and all the vivid colors with everything that they're wearing, the lights in the background. Even when they're in that white recording studio, like, it's just great to see everything's so clear, them just having a good time. And it really, really livens up the mood of the whole recording. And again, kind of kills that narrative that they were pretty much at their wits' end and ready to kill each other, which is the way it seems in this Let It Be, the original cut of it. If you are a Beatles fan, I suggest checking it out. If you have the time, if you have a subscription, I hope they come out with this on DVD. I would love to purchase it. But that is it for our top 10 movies of 2021. And I'll throw in some honorable mentions in here. I won't talk about them. I'll give you a quick run through of what they are. So honorable mention number 1 is Nobody with Bob Odenkirk. Fun movie, violent, nothing new, but also just a really good time. Also very short, so you got things to do. Pop this movie in, get your adrenaline pumping, and just have a good time watching this. Bob Odenkirk will surprise you in this movie if you are familiar with his character in Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. Very different. Who knew he could play like an action guy? But I hope to see more of that, or not. Leave Nobody as it is. That's great. Next honorable mention is Benedetta. I just recently saw this movie at the AMC, and I had never heard about it. A friend told me about it, and we went to go check it out. It is about a nun who is in a convent, who has visions of Jesus Christ, or various religious visions. She's also experiencing a lesbian relationship, and apparently it's based on a true story on an actual character name. I don't remember the whole name, but her name is Benedetta. And it's one of the first recorded non-lesbian relationships in Renaissance Italy, which is nuts. But it's based on a book called Immodest Acts, which is also on my reading list for 2022. So I hope to check that out. This movie really blurs a few lines between drama to almost supernatural to almost like a true crime kind of sense to a love story. And almost and a bit of a satirical sense with her visions. sometimes I can't tell. Like it just is just jumping from different genres within this movie. But I did enjoy it a lot. Hope to watch it again. Check it out if you haven't, or if you that interests you, go for it. Last on the honorable mentions list is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Mind you, not necessarily a new movie, but a new cut of the movie. Just elevates Justice League to a whole nother level. I sat through the whole 4 hours, was not bored once. Seeing the original, hated it. It was trash. It's surprisingly what another couple hours will do for a movie, can really turn it around. And I'm kind of curious to see whether or not that can be done for other movies that maybe need a little bit more of a runtime, but not many. You don't want to overindulge us. You don't want a director who's overindulging himself and just to feed his ego. This was well worth it, and it really does change the storyline a lot, and just the enjoyment of the movie itself. Zack Snyder, 4-hour cut. Joss Whedon, trash cut. So you take your pick. Just a quick break in between this video, guys. I appreciate you watching up until this point. Be sure to like and subscribe if you can. Share this with people you think they might enjoy it. If you want to support us in any way, click any of the links below. We have other podcasts that we do. We have merch, more designs coming your way. And if you want to see the entire list of movies that I watched in 2021, which was quite a bit, click the link below so you can check out our letterbox. Follow me. I'll follow you. You can share what movies we're watching. Be sure to follow us on social media at Instagram at MoQuest Studios and CineQuest Video, and Twitter at MoQuest Studios. We have a TikTok, MoQuest Studios. You can check that out. I'm still trying to work on that, but we appreciate your support, guys, and continue on with the episode. All right, guys, as a bonus portion of this episode, I want to give you just a few movies that really disappointed me, but also I think were kind of the worst of 2021. And here we go. In no particular order, the first one is Matrix Resurrections. This movie was very disappointing. I was expecting a little bit more from a Matrix movie. I don't remember when the last one was, but part 3 was not very good. But now you're bringing up it's called Resurrections, for God's sakes. You're going to like resurrect the whole franchise. No, it was not good. All the action scenes were very generic. I just thought I was watching just a generic action movie. It could have been anything with Keanu Reeves. It could have been John Wick again. I think John Wick is probably better than this movie, for sure. Let me rephrase that. John Wick is better than this movie. I'm not going to get into it very much, but I will say, how many times in one movie can Neo, the one, or at least in this portion, half of the one, how many times is he going to fucking use the same move to block? Like, he does this thing to block. Bullets. Just bullets. 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 Like, every so often, I almost can, like, time it. He's blocking bullets. He does nothing else. He's just blocking bullets. And I was like, this is the most generic shit I've ever seen in this movie or in these movies. I can't believe it. You go from groundbreaking cinematography, scenes, the scenes in the first one are legendary. Now we come into this one and we're just doing some generic ass shit that it's been done a million times. Can't believe it. It was terrible. Matrix Resurrections. Regurgitations. I mean, God, disgusting. Next one. You remember when I just said a few moments ago that Nicolas Cage can act? He can act, and he acted terribly in this movie. It's Prisoners of the Ghostland. Mind you, this movie, I didn't know what was going on in this movie from the get-go. I watched it twice. Still had no idea what was going on. There was no real exposition to some of these characters. Kind of just showed up, and they were there, and they moved on. I wasn't sure this was taking place in like a small Japanese town in the middle of an apocalyptic future, or it was like Japan cultures kind of maybe meets Mad Max in a certain way, and you got Bill Moseley in a white cowboy suit. Like I just was confused with this whole movie. And mind you, there were like 2 times where Nicolas Cage does really rage cagey shit. And I did laugh a lot, but I'm not too sure if this movie was supposed to be laughable. I wasn't sure this movie was supposed to be funny at all, but it wasn't even funny. It was bad. So, I mean, if you want to check out Prisoners of the Ghostland, be my guest, but you've been warned. Not good. Not good. Next on the terrible list of 2021, Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. This movie is trash beyond trash. I cannot tell you how bored I was to this movie. I'm a big fan of The Conjuring 1 and Conjuring 2. But this Ed and Lorraine Warren romance nonsense is just driving me up the wall. It feels like they were just grasping at straws, and they have like this really, really provocative title, The Devil Made Me Do It. It was garbage. It wasn't scary at all. It was so boring. I hated it. And I wish they just had not made this movie at all. Like, I always forget their names, but the ones that do play Ed and Lorraine Warren, they always do a great job, but I just don't believe the story of Ed and Lorraine. It's not them necessarily. It's Ed and Lorraine. I followed Ed and Lorraine Warren quite a bit throughout the years prior to these movies coming out, and the fantasy level on their relationship is like through the roof. Like, I just don't believe it. And the stories were knowing the real story of the actual case of that this film is based on. I'm sorry, like this. Just stop, please. Just stop, please. And last but not last, and very, very least, the most disappointing, terrible, worst of 2021. For God's sakes, Coming to America. Coming to America. Eddie Murphy, what are you doing, man? God. PG-13? You got to be kidding me. This movie feels like they think the audience is not smart. But you don't have to be smart to know what's going on in Coming to America. Anyone who's watching this movie has seen the original, knows the characters pretty well, I would say. So why are there explanations for certain characters that are supposed to be really funny and could have had funny moments, mind you? But why? Why? And the guy playing like Akeem's son, I didn't believe that storyline for a second. Like, there was nothing about the story of the dude who was Akeem's son, and then he became part of the family. Like, I didn't believe it for a second. Like, it took me out of this movie completely. And the tamed versions of all these characters was very disappointing. Still, I did enjoy the barbershop scene, which those guys are just funny altogether, but every single time they come up on the screen. But man, they tried to rehash a lot of old jokes and it just wasn't working. Eddie Murphy, you're a damn good comedian, man. Like, what are you doing? You could have done a lot better with this movie, and it went straight to Amazon. It would have flopped even worse at the theater. I'm almost certain of it. This movie's just bad. And that, to me, was the worst, most disappointing, terrible movie of 2021. If you did like this review, you want more simple, like real quick movie reviews, let me know in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe. We have more episodes coming your way. Maybe a few solo. Maybe I'll have a partner. I'll have another person with me. That way we can banter along if you do enjoy that. This was probably my third attempt at doing a solo one. Hopefully I get better. I don't know, but we'll see. This was the first annual top 10 films of the year 2021. We will have one for next year as well. I guarantee it. Out of 75 movies, I think it was, I picked 10. I mean, I was surprised I watched that many movies myself. That's not including the movies I rewatched for the CineQuest video podcast. More videos coming your way, so be sure to check that out.